Dinesh D'Souza is no fan of President Obama is perhaps the understatement of the millennium. He's the author of 2 books about the president, the latest, provocatively titled Obama's America, Unmaking the American Dream. And he joins me now with more on our big story, Dinesh D'Souza. Welcome.
Thank you.
So look, I want to go through some of these claims you make in your book and just challenge you to sort of back them up, really. The first one is, you say Obama is the architect of American decline. He wants America to be downsized. He wants Americans to be second-class citizens in their own country. Why would you think that President Obama would want his citizens in his own country to be second-class?
Well, Obama's a global guy, and he looks at America through global eyes. I think from Obama's point of view, America and the West have enriched themselves at the expense of the rest of the world. So Obama would like to see the American economy contract. He would like to see American influence in the world shrink. Now, it's not because he's an evil guy or he hates America. It's just that it's in the name of global fairness. He wants Americans to have less so the rest of the world can have more. He wants America to have less power so that other countries can come up in the world. He'd like to see a multipolar world in which America is not the sole superpower.
You don't honestly believe that, do you?
Not only do I believe it, but Obama says it. He talks, for example, about how America has 5% of the world's population, but we use 25% of the world's energy, of the world's oil. What Obama's kind of saying is, listen, we ought to use less so that countries like Brazil and Colombia and Mexico can have more. And this isn't just rhetoric. Obama uses taxpayer money to subsidize oil drilling in Brazil and Colombia and Mexico. So he's trying to enrich the previously colonized countries at the expense of the colonizer.
The second point is he detests allies like Israel and Britain and seeks to weaken them. He's not very worried about radical Muslims acquiring a nuclear bomb or coming to power in countries like Tunisia and Egypt. What on earth do you base that on?
Well, first of all, the radical Muslims have come to power in Tunisia and Egypt. The Muslim Brotherhood has won an election in Egypt. The Obama administration has notified the Egyptian generals, listen, you better turn over power to the Muslim Brotherhood or we're going to cut off U.S. aid. So I'm not saying that Obama caused the Arab Spring, but I'm saying he is acting quite vigorously to reduce American influence, to weaken. Mubarak was clearly an American ally, and who can deny that the Muslim Brotherhood is the largest organization of radical Islam in the world?
Right, but suggesting that he's not very worried about radical Muslims acquiring a nuclear bomb, I mean, that is an absolute load of phooey, isn't it?
Well, first of all, we're talking about Obama's motives, and they can only be inferred by looking at his actions. If you look at Obama's actions, what has he done meaningfully to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear bomb? Every several months, there are reports that Iran gets closer, closer, closer. The Israelis are in panic about it, but Obama seems unconcerned. In fact, Obama's energy and efforts have been focused on slashing America's.
Out of interest, what would you be doing? Would you be sending in American troops into Iran?
No, for starters, look, Obama supported the protesters in Egypt very happily when they were demanding democracy in Egypt. A year earlier, there were massive demonstrations in Iran calling for an end to the regime of the mullahs. What did Obama do? Obama said we should not get involved. There's a debate going on in Iran. Let them settle it up. So I'm simply saying let's support pro-democracy elements in Iran just as we supported them in Egypt.
But you think that Barack Obama is so disinterested and unworried by fundamentalists that he's the guy that risked his entire presidency on sending helicopters full of Navy SEALs into Pakistan to take out Osama bin Laden? That's not really the actions of a guy who's not worried, is it?
No, I think we have to make an important distinction here. Obama does not support al-Qaeda or bin Laden. He sees those guys as international criminals. But he does have a measure of sympathy for Muslim jihadis in places like Iraq and Afghanistan. Why? Not because Obama's a secret Muslim, but he sees those guys as freedom fighters who are trying to free their country from colonial occupation. One of the reasons Obama is so hostile to Israel is he sees Israel as a little colonial power sitting on Muslim land.
That's complete nonsense.
Well,
of course he doesn't.
Well, you're just asserting things, Piers. Look, you come from Great Britain, which was a colonizing country.
Wait a minute. With respect, you are the one asserting things. You've also said he detests Britain, which is also complete nonsense.
Well,
absolutely nothing about Barack Obama's behaviour since he came to power has been anything other than totally respectful of Britain, often going out of his way to be respectful to Britain.
Let's start
Where
with
do you
why...
get the fact that he detests my country?
Well, let's start with something simple. Obama moves a Winston Churchill bust out of the White House, one of his first acts as president. And that's not something Bill Clinton would do, or Kerry, or Gore.
Come off it. You're basing the fact that he moved a bust out of an office, which he's perfectly entitled to do.
Of course
Big
he
busts
is.
come and go in those offices, right? You're basing that as the reason why he detests Great Britain.
Piers, I didn't... Look, all I'm saying is it's symbolic of the fact that Winston Churchill is perceived as a colonizer. He was head of the colonial office. He was re-elected in the 50s, and he led a suppression of an anti-colonial uprising in Kenya. Two of the people who were arrested in that anti-colonial uprising were one Onyango Obama, the president's grandfather, and one Barack Obama Sr., the president's dad. So Obama actually has very good reasons to loathe Winston Churchill. You just don't know what they are.
Right, so he hates Britain, he hates Winston Churchill, he hates the Israelis, he wants Americans to be second-class citizens. I've got another guest coming in after the break who I suspect may be as equally incensed by these remarks as I am. Penn Jillette. We'll be back after the break.